Hi friends, in this video you'll get unique information on bicep training, on how to make them big, strong and defined. True information that will help you whether you're training naturally or unnaturally makes absolutely no difference. These tips work on both the natural and unnatural sides. I remind you that I have 18 years of experience on the natural side, and I had about 7 years of experience on the dark side. Therefore, I can absolutely 100% assure experience gained is great and natural, and not natural that the principles of training biceps are absolutely the same. Whether you're using any substances or not, the tips I'm going to give you will definitely work for natural training. You just need to give it a try. And within the first few weeks, you'll see for yourself that Euro won't give you bad advice. But a lot of people give advice on how to train biceps, and it's absolutely harmful advice. And in this video, I'm going to tell you about useless exercises and harmful advice. And never listen to a person who has big biceps or sculpted biceps, genetically given to them by nature. Take some old photos of him from his teenage years. Look to see if there are any prominent arms or large hands. And then, if you see that this person really had skinny arms, then listen to their advice and pray to their advice. But there are hardly any such people. Usually, if someone had skinny arms, they will never be able to bulk them up. If genetics didn't bless you, only a smart approach and hard training will help you build up your arms. Not many people can afford that. I had super skinny arms, and everyone told me, Yura, sometimes you won't even be able to pump your biceps up to 40 centimeters. First of all, you have less than 18 centimeters wrist skinny. You see what a big shoulder. And what a thin wrist. Secondly, you have long arms, very long. Thirdly, you're an ectoendomorph, which means you have narrow shoulders and your muscles don't grow well. All these factors indicate that I will never be able to build up my arms. Indeed, for the first few years, I trained them, and my arms didn't grow. Finally, I learned some tips that really work, and they helped me, and they'll help you too. I also, in general, gave the right advice on how to build up your arms, and a few years ago, you could see those old videos. But in this video, I'm going to give advice that, after all the accumulated experience over 27 years, they already carry additional information. This video will be even more useful than the old previous videos. So, the first thing you need to remember is that time under tension is secondary for muscle training. The primary thing is mechanical tension. What does that mean in practice? We have an exercise where you curl the dumbbell and work on your bicep with the other hand. You curl, stop, and do this arm 10 times while the other one is in the air. Then you stop again and do another set with that arm. And by doing it this way, even with small dumbbells, you'll feel the burn and the pump. So you have to remember that pumping and burning don't matter for training biceps. Not at all. That's secondary. The most important thing, it's mechanical tension, meaning the weight needs to be sufficient for bicep hypertrophy. And this exercise, which is so popular and that I just showed you, is actually a useless exercise. Because between sets, the weight you're holding in the air is too light. You can create constant tension even with an empty barbell. Just don't fully extend your arms. Keep doing it. Keeping your arms bent, and the tension won't leave the biceps. You'll get something like statodynamics, constant tension. And so, you'll never achieve normal hypertrophy in your life. That's why stop thinking about how long the approach lasts, 30 seconds or 40 or 50. If you create adequate muscle tension, if your dumbbells aren't just 3 kilo, but 30 kilo each, even less, even 25-20 kilo for someone who is just starting out, then your biceps will grow. Even if you use the rest pose principle, interrupting that constant tension. Even if you do, I did a set with 30 kilo, put it down. Rested, did a set, interrupted, did it again, your biceps will still grow better than if you, for example, keep the entire set constantly burning, pumping, crazy constant tension, yes, but the weight isn't enough. The mechanical tension isn't sufficient. Roughly speaking, this is a fashionable scientific word, the main factor. For muscle growth, it's mechanical tension. Mechanical tension is simply the right working weight. So, if the weight you're using to work your biceps allows you to do more than 10 repetitions, that's it. Muscle growth is minimal or non-existent. It won't happen. The biceps won't grow. You need to increase the weight. You'll see for yourself that if you're doing 10 or more repetitions, the strength growth of your biceps will decrease. This means that the progression of loads will become less, which means that the biceps will not grow. But let's return to the assessment. The quality of your progress. Unfortunately, some people have short biceps, some have long ones. Some people have a bicep peak, some don't. If someone says they can help you build a bicep peak or shows you an exercise, they're lying. To pump up the outer inner biceps, he lies to you. You can't change the shape of the biceps. You can only influence the mass. How can you tell if a person's biceps are impressive or not? Is the result of your bicep workout impressive or not? If you see a clear outline of the bicep, it's the whole long definition. If the bicep is well defined, if you can see all the veins on it, it's clearly defined, it's clearly veiny. If it's split and well defined, then there's not a drop of blur on the arm. So, 43 centimeters. If your bicep is like mine right now, it's pure muscle, not a drop of fat. But if a person has a fat arm, even if it's 50, 60 centimeters, it's just fat arms, like Aunt Ducia at the market. That's not impressive. When you're working your biceps, if you can see all the veins on them, it means the subcutaneous fat has burned off, and you're seeing pure muscle. Do you want to make your dry biceps over 40 centimeters like mine? Keep watching the video. There are 1,000 exercises, but there is no point in doing them. I don't see it. Basically, we have 5 to 6 exercises that can be used in some cases. And the most effective of them is the standing barbell curl. But you need to know how to do them, because if you do them incorrectly, your biceps won't grow. Or they will grow, but much worse. Let's look at the possible mistakes. I don't believe there's any point in varying the grip width. You'll either do it like this, or you'll take a wider grip. Or you'll just do it however you're comfortable, so you can ensure maximum result. The biggest mistake when doing bicep curls, surprisingly, is pure technique. When I participated in bicep curl competitions and set a record for Russia in my category, there are rules to start with. From a dead stop. And then, without cheating, pull it to this point. So, most of the work is done by the front deltoid. Look, down here the forearms are overloaded, at the very bottom, and that's where the injury happens, right here. And here, you can see what a powerful muscle this is and how it works during the lift. Shoulder. And the same shoulder lift happens if you don't swing your body and work with a full range of motion. Look at how the biomechanics work. See, I'm not swinging my body. I'm going through the full range of motion. That's it. My arm can't bend any further. The bicep won't let my arm bend anymore. Even if I try to help with this hand, I still can't bend it. But my arm isn't the biggest. If the arm is 47 centimeters, it will bend even worse. This is how it will turn out. This is how I am. So think about it. Do you really need that arm? 47. Maybe 43 would be more functional. But let's not get distracted by functionality. For now, we need healthy banks. So I bent my arms. So how do you lift it higher? How do you make your full range of motion? Your proper technique, your favorite guys. It's only right to tense your shoulder and lift your arm from here. And here is the elbow extension. Going beyond the shoulder line, the elbow extension forward is that mistake. It will take the load off the bicep onto the shoulder. So these types of sports, I stood by the wall. I pressed my back against the wall. It seemed perfect, clean, right? And then what? I pulled with a torpedo and the lats. And I picked up the barbell with my shoulder and pulled it up. And people lift 100 kilograms, but they have no biceps. So the most important thing is to pump up your arms. From a technical standpoint, it doesn't matter if you're working your biceps standing, sitting against the wall, not by the wall. But the most important rule is that the elbows must stay down. That's why. All professionals do bicep training. If you notice, they don't lift it up here. In most cases, if it's not a bicep lifting competition, in this range of motion and down there, there's still a little swing to relieve stress from the ligaments and forearms. Because as long as your barbell weighs 35 kilo, you can start like this. But when your barbell is 65 kilo, a slow start with completely straight arms will cause severe pain in the forearms. And you will understand why professionals made such a small one at the beginning. Swing, in competitions, this is completely prohibited. But this allows you to train the biceps with heavier weights and relieve the load from the ligaments, the forearms, to unload them. And at the top, you pull with your biceps. Here I relieved a bit of the tension in my forearm and pulled up with my biceps without involving my shoulder. You see, properly training your biceps isn't that easy. And cheating isn't that simple. The right kind of cheating increases bicep growth instead of robbing it. If you perform the work with perfectly clean technique, you'll rob your biceps and deprive it of the load. But if you cheat incorrectly, you'll do the same thing. For a long time, I was training my biceps with dumbbells and they weren't growing. Why? I was doing it like this and lifting it all the way up. And what was happening, you already know. The elbow was coming forward. Here, but it should have been done like this. But honestly, it's uncomfortable to train biceps with dumbbells. It's easier to work in this range with a barbell than with dumbbells. But if you're working with dumbbells, the principle is the same. Here, you should definitely not stop. With dumbbells, it's good that your forearm isn't overloaded as much because you're holding the dumbbells down with a neutral grip. Here comes the turn. And here comes the supination. Or you can work constantly with a hammer grip, but there are some downsides to that. I promise to show what other exercises are effective, what other exercises you can use besides barbell curls. So if you don't feel any pain, just barbell curls are enough to build maximum strength. Lateral bicep. The other exercises just slow down your progress because they overload the forearm, you'll start to feel pain, and you won't be able to train. But sometimes you need other exercises. I've never noticed any growth in my biceps. I've never noticed any growth in my biceps from training brachialis. But logically, we understand that the brachialis we have here, and it makes the arm thicker and helps work the biceps. But in some cases, a person's forearms begin to hurt, and he is forced. Keep your wrist in a neutral grip, and then the brachialis will work more. Some people have to work with a curved bar. Let's take a look at the downsides of a curved bar. Here's the curved bar I picked up. And we see that the hand is closer to a neutral grip. It's not as supinated as with a straight bar. The forearm is more comfortable. But the biceps also works less. The outdoor area is moving, partially on the brachialis. So if you have your forearms don't hurt, it's better to work with a straight bar. But for some people, anatomically, their wrist can't even turn like this with a straight bar. They end up doing it like this, you see. Here's the straight bar for them. It lies like this. They can't even grip the bar. Such people should work specifically with a curved bar. A couple more useless techniques. These are the 21. Method and negatives. Negatives work and promote bicep growth just like positives do. Here we just usually pump bicep, right? So you lift with negatives and then you lower it slowly. And the bicep grows just the same. But the trauma is greater, so the recovery after the workout will be greater. There will be more muscle soreness. By increasing recovery, you actually slow down growth. I've heard stories that some guy did bicep training negatively for 6 weeks. They lifted for him. He lowered it slowly and he pumped himself up. Trisimiento of bicep. This doesn't work. For a beginner, yes, this will work. But a beginner will build their biceps even faster with positive repetitions than with negatives. And when you've already reached your limit, there won't be any growth anymore. When you've already reached your maximum, in bicep training, negatives don't give you anything. You can try, but you won't get anything except pain in your forearms. 21, it's a very popular exercise. Why? Because it gives a fantastic pump. You do it like this 7 times. 7 times like this. And 7 times completely. As a result, you get a very long time under tension, and the working weight automatically decreases. So you don't do 21 with a weight of 60 kilograms. And for bicep growth, 60 is much more powerful than 21. You might say, well, I do 3 sets of 60 and then another 3 sets. I'll do 21 repetitions with 20 kilograms. Yes, of course, that's possible. But you won't see any muscle growth. You'll just get more tired. And if you get more tired, with more volume in your workout, muscle catabolism happens. This was discussed in one of the previous videos, why you can't lift weights and run. Because if you run a lot, it creates a catabolic load that competes with endurance training, which competes with strength training. This is what 21 does. You're basically doing an endurance workout with 21 repetitions. You might say, okay, to have optimal mechanical tension, I'll do 2, 2, 2 instead of 21. I'll do 6. Do it like this twice. Twice like this. And 2 times with full range of motion. Well, guys, you can do it like this. I think it will work. If you want to add variety to your workouts, you can do 6, 2, 2, 2. That is, you can do 9, which means 3, 3, 3. But if you already do 12, that is 4, 4, 4, it will be too much, let's say. The time under tension will increase, but the mechanical tension will drop. The working weight will be lower than what you need for hypertrophy. Well, from my experience, and 21 is 3 sets of 7, exactly. Instead of strength training, it will grow. I washed up. If you're a very gifted person like Shornold, who already had big biceps at 16, or if you're on powerful gear, it might still give you some growth. But then the effects of the gear will wear off, and you'll hit a plateau. And a natural bodybuilder will surpass you because he's training with a more optimal weight. And a chemist with a suboptimal working growth, and also with bad genetics, has a smaller hand than a natural. Who trains correctly. So, it's better to train correctly and hard, no matter what your status is. I'm telling you, I've been in both situations, even if it was in the past, and believe me, only smart training, this will be the maximum result. Millions of people get into shape, and only hundreds of people train properly. These millions are surpassed. So a person ends up better than the millions because they trained correctly. Meaning training properly is 1,000,000 times better than just relying on drugs or genetics. Just understand. Let's repeat our lesson one more time. Here we took the stamp. Let's assume that this part of the range of motion plays too big a role, the forearms. We don't really need it. So with heavy weights, if we try to lift from a dead stop, we'll be overworking the attachment. It's better to make a small hook. Here's the most useful part of the range of motion. This part of the repetition is the most important for us. You might ask, should we start from here? It's going to take away your strength. Why waste resources? I lowered it. Took a little break. This is a more optimal use of resources. And we don't waste strength on the negative lowering. I never do it slowly. Just like that. Because negative repetitions only increase the risk of injury. Excessive. And we need to recover well after training. This is not the kind of injury that promotes growth. This is a different kind of injury. This is how you can really stretch after a workout. They will hurt, but it will only delay recovery. So, after a heavy workout, don't stretch those muscle groups too much. Under no circumstances should you lift your elbows up, otherwise we will overload and work on the front gap. What kind of exercise routine would I create if you don't have any pain? Bicep curls with a barbell standing, 3 sets with heavy weight, let's say on Monday. Warm up 1 or 2 sets and then 3 heavy sets. And on Friday, 3 light sets. If on Monday you did 40 kilograms for 3 sets of 6 repetitions, then on Friday do 30 kilograms for 3 sets of 6 repetitions. Athletes train twice a week, doing 1 heavy workout and another light one to progress. More. You can add reverse grip bicep curls, but be careful. This exercise, if performed with heavy weights, can easily cause epicondylitis. It will inflame the ligament right here, and it won't be pleasant. So don't chase after heavy weights with a reverse grip. Focus on heavy weights with a regular grip, or with a curved bar, if your genetics don't allow you to work with a straight grip. What weight should you work with to achieve bicep muscle hypertrophy? Maximum. The more the better. But no less. You should reach a weight of no less than 50-60% of your body weight. It really hinders bicep growth, isolation. So, if you're going to work on your biceps very slowly, pressing against the wall, focusing too much on technique, either the weights won't increase or you'll get injuries. I've already explained why injuries happen. With super clean execution, here, you'll build up the forearm ligaments right here. That's where the pain starts, here. So at the beginning, you definitely need to have a small swing with heavy weights. Watch how Jay Cutler does it. Do you think he lacks experience being a multiple Mr. Olympia? Yes, all Mr. Olympias give a kick first. A little. Then I just pulled it cleanly here. If you do all this movement slowly and then slowly in the reverse direction, you'll either face serious injuries or you'll just progress more slowly. Your goal with a little cheating at the beginning. Maximize the contraction of the biceps during the positive phase in the optimal range of motion. That's it! And work with the right weight in the correct range of repetitions. There are no other secrets if you do 10 more bicep exercises. It won't give you anything. I understand that Liprice recommended 25 exercises, 25 sets for the arms. But he was short, he recovered quickly, and he was on steroids. He has strong joints, strong tendons. Look at Liprice. It's the same width and height, completely square. He recovered and still ended up with injuries. So, let's learn from someone who's naturally strong, not from a pumped-up weakling. In the past, I have. And you won't regret it, because the advice will work at maximum speed. I have a lot of feedback from people whose arms I've already pumped up, including the record holder of Ukraine in bicep curls. Kirill Prokodin, I think you remember him, from the reviews on my channel from Video Reviews. You have to agree, a person who has trained a national record holder in bicep curls won't give bad advice, so learn from him. If you want me to personally handle your training, I train my students via Skype. And more budget-friendly options. I train them through messaging, so feel free to reach out. We'll find the right format for everyone. Just a reminder that every month I hold a fat-burning marathon where more than 50 people participate. And I hope we make it to 100. Subscribe to my yandex.zen channel where I write articles that complement the videos. And in the link, in the description of this video, read the article that complements this video about bicep training on yandex.zen day. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe there. Well, that's it, my friends. See you next time. Get pumped up, Shura. Get pumped up, Shura. Pump up, Shura. Get pumped up with Yura. Suroi.